Hey guys, what's up? It's Darkmech here with a guide today that I've been asked for quite a bit recently. It's the items that I used on my warrior and what stats I went with for challenge modes. So today I'm going to go over what gear I had, what stats I went for, my talents I used, what glyphs I used, and then I've had a couple of other requests just to go over pre-potting, why we do it, and the invis potting. So I'm going to tack that on at the end. So if you're after that, stick around till the end. So getting stuck into it. My prot warrior, the gear I went with for challenge modes. For starters, bonus armor, mastery, crit. Higher mastery, smoother damage intake. On the prot warrior, I found it took a lot more damage compared to say a brewmaster or a blood DK. Obviously, self healing isn't even close to as strong. So mastery just smoothed out my damage. If you wanted a more offensive playstyle, if you've got really high DPS and say an amazing healer, you could always try more crit. It's certainly going to be a lot more offensive, but in my opinion, mastery over crit is definitely the way to go. So helm-wise, I had True Steel, Helm of the Peerless. Now keep in mind, guys, in terms of best in slot challenge mode, as long as it's got crit and mastery on it and bonus armor on your slots with either crit or mastery, that is best in slot. Don't get too stressed into narrowing it down to set pieces, so to speak. As long as it's got crit and mastery on it, you're gonna be fine. So I went with the crafted helmet, the True Steel Helm of the Peerless, crit mastery. I had the neck from the Lovers in the Air Festival, which is bonus armor and crit. Again, though, if you can get any neck from the Heroics with bonus armor and crit or mastery on it. I've enchanted mine with 75 mastery. Shoulders, I just had the Verdant Plate shoulders. Crit mastery again. The gem socket was just there, but it doesn't matter because gem sockets don't count in challenge modes. Cloak wise, I had the Fireproof Great Cloak, 62 mastery, bonus armor, enchanted with mastery again. Chest piece, blood soaked heart protector, crit mastery again. Braces, crit mastery again. Gruel's smaller shackles just from LFR guys, because I might go to a normal raid every now and again, but otherwise I don't have time for raiding anymore. Hands, grips of the burning infusion, crit mastery. You get the pattern here. Everything has crit mastery on it. Belt, crit mastery. Legs, crafted again, crit mastery. Boots, crit mastery. The speed, ignore it. It doesn't matter. They don't count in challenge modes, as I've said in my introduction video. No secondary stats like leech or speed or anything like that works. Ring wise, this is probably the worst piece. Versatility bonus armor, but I farmed and farmed and farmed heroics to try and get a bonus armor mastery or bonus armor crit ring. It didn't drop, so I just ended up running with this one. One piece isn't going to be too bad. Again, enchanted with mastery. Another ring, crit, bonus armor, enchanted with mastery again. And then this trinket's a 645 garrison reward one, and it is awesome for warriors. Bonus armor crit, lap that up. The Knight's Badge, the Dark Moon Fair trinket, amazing for prot warriors. Crit with bonus armor with a crit proc. My weapon, just crit mastery. That was from a salvage, I think, or it may have been from a garrison mission as well. But either way, it's crit mastery. You can go with the one from Delrend. Oh, it's not even Delrend anymore, is it? Farbeck, which is crit mastery, and it's got a higher crit on it. But I wanted more mastery, so that's why I went with this one here. And shield-wise, just the Draconian Doom Shield. I was going to say Deflector there. Again, crit mastery, and the Indestructible doesn't count. So as you can see, everything just crit mastery. Obviously, guys, bonus armor on your rings, your neck, your back, and your trinkets is a must. You want to reduce that damage intake as much as you possibly can. So bonus armor, mastery, crit. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to zone into a challenge mode, show you how it all scales down, and I'm going to talk about my talents and glyphs. So here we are in a challenge mode. I've just picked a random one here. I'm in Iron Docks, and I'm going to show you how the gear scales down, what your stats look like after they've been compressed into challenge mode. So as you can see, everything has been scaled down to item level 630. Note, guys, if you have 620 gear or something like that, nothing scales up. It all just scales down. So as you can see, all your mastery, your crit stats, they all get squished. Your strength and stamina, it all just gets squished down to that 630 item level. Now, going over my stats here, I don't have any buffs on apart from Commanding Shout, guys, so just take note of that. I've got 14.79% crit, so unbuffed, obviously. 28.69% mastery, gives me a 9% increased chance to block, and a crit block chance of 28%. It also boosts my attack power by 19%, so another reason why mastery is so powerful. Bonus armor, 640 bonus armor gives me a 49.13% damage reduction. It is absolutely amazing. So they're the 3 stats that you really want to drill home hard for your challenge modes. Now onto my talents and glyphs. I'm going to start off with my talents. I actually swapped around a little bit on this. I ran Warbringer for a lot of them. Double time's obviously amazing in terms of being able to charge twice, but Warbringer with the 1.5 second stun and interrupting cast is really powerful. I found sometimes on double time I'd charge it wouldn't interrupt a cast, but with Warbringer I had that added one if I needed to leap away and charge in, or if I wanted to say the Exhumers or something like that in Shadowmoon Burial Grounds, I could heroic throw and then Warbringer charge into them to stop them from spawning the 2 adds. So don't discount Warbringer there. In Rage Regen, it's the obvious choice on this line. Heals for 10% of your max health, 20% additional over 5 seconds. It's usable while stunned. It's amazing. You could run Second Wind, I suppose, if you wanted or Impending Victory, but in Rage Regen's my choice over and over. Next line, Sudden Death. The DPS boost from that is just amazing, especially as they didn't nerf Execute with 6.1 for Prot. So Sudden Death is definitely a choice there. You could run Heavy Repercussions if you wanted to, but I think Sudden Death is by far the superior choice there. Next line, without a Stormbolt, Shockwave, and Dragon's Roar, it's got to be Shockwave, guys. I've gone over in the Arkandoon video the advantages of Shockwave. It just plays a vital role in all the challenge modes, and having that 20-second CD hitting 3 targets, it's just so OP. You got to have it. Mass Spell Reflection here, it's the obvious choice again. With everything that you can spell reflect in these challenge modes for massive damage, it's a must. Level 90 line, Blade Storm. I mean, Bro Storm's amazing provided you use it in the right places. With Ravager, it's just massive DPS. You could go with Avatar or Bloodbath. Avatar is probably quite strong now with changes after 6.1. But Brostorm with Ravager is just going to be my pick every time. The fact that you can steal Shield Barrier and whatnot while you're in Brostorm, or you can Shield Wall then Brostorm, I think it's just a really big DPS boost for a Prot Warrior to have. Last tier, Ravager. Ravager all the way for me. You're obviously not going to have Gladiator's Resolve. You're never going to have Threat. But Ravager is amazing. Anger Management you could probably use if you want. But I think the DPS sacrifice from Ravager would just be too much. So if I certainly did, I ran with Ravager, and if it was me, I'd be recommending Ravager too. On to my glyph-wise. Glyphs, I ran Glyph of Shield Slam. Now, it would pretty much be the glyph that I would swap in and out depending on what I was doing. Glyph of Shield Slam's amazing in something like UBRS to Shield Slam the Rejuvenating Serum off, or in Arkandoon to Shield Slam the Bubbles off on the Cleric on the first pulls. I would swap it in and out for Heroic Leap. I think Heroic Leap is an amazing glyph to have in regards to reducing the cooldown by 15 seconds. The Death from Above, sorry, it's called, not Heroic Leap. It just means that you've got more mobility in terms of kiting around, and it's up quicker, obviously, to get away and put that gap between you, which saved me quite a few times in UBRS. Rude Interruption is amazing for boosting our DPS. Our single target DPS is quite low, so on a lot of boss fights like Kyrak or Soulbender, things like that, where you can say as the tank, I'm going to get all the interrupts here, and you're going to boost your damage by 6% for the 20 seconds with Rude Interruption. So that is a really powerful glyph as well. Gag Order, I didn't like Gag Order. I mean, it's good, I suppose, if you wanted a range interrupt, but for me, I didn't like the way Gag Order worked. Shield Wall, again, is a really powerful glyph to have, but using Shield Wall through so many of the trash packs, I didn't think it was a viable glyph. Cleaving is the other glyph I've had in there, and that is an absolute must to have. You pretty much have to have Cleaving glyph. It's not an optional one. Unending Rage is another good one. You could have increase your max rage by 20. Again, it's an option. And also the Thundering, I can't even remember what it was called. I've already moused over it now, but increase your range on Thunderclap is another viable one, but these three here I think are pretty good staple ones. And Glyph Fear, guys, because you can interrupt casts with it. It means they don't run away. The last thing you want to do in challenge modes is to split up your mobs when you're trying to AoE them down. So I would highly recommend Glyphing Fear. It is a really good glyph to have in there in the challenge modes. So now, guys, I'm going to, sorry to cut that so quickly, I'm going to talk to you about the potting side of things now, pre-potting, why we do it, how it works, and how it ties in with the invis. So let's just say that this target dummy here is a boss, and I'm in a challenge mode. I'm in a pre-pot, which I just did there. Out of combat, I'm going to charge in. Now, you can see that I have a 1 minute cooldown timer on my pot. Reason being is because I potted out of combat. If you pot out of combat, you will have a 1 minute cooldown timer, and I'm fast forwarding here, and you can see my pot's about to come off cooldown. I'm still in combat, and I could pot again, meaning I would get 2 uses of pots through that boss encounter. Or if I was going to invis afterward, my invis pot is still up after that. Now, let's take it from the other way. If I was out of combat, and we're using the target dummy as a boss again, and I charge in, and then I pot while I'm in combat, which I do now, you will be able to see I'm not on a 1 minute cooldown timer anymore. It is now on a 3 minute cooldown timer, which means I won't be able to invis for another 3 minutes because my invis pot, to be able to use your invis pot, you can't have a cooldown on your DPS pot. Now, the health tonics don't share the same cooldown timer, and if you invis pot, you'll have a 10 minute cooldown timer on your DPS pots. You won't be able to pot for 10 minutes, but if you pot during combat, you will have a 3 minute lockout timer pretty much. So like on Shadowmoon Burial Grounds, where I potted on a trash pack, then my invis pot wasn't up afterwards. This is why. So if you're going to invis on a boss after the challenge, after the pull, pre-pot, you'll get the benefit going into the boss. Make sure you don't pot during the boss fight, and then you'll be able to invis pot afterwards. So hopefully that clears it up. Hopefully that makes sense. If you have any questions, please do hit me up, and thanks very much for watching, guys, and good luck. Cheers.